This is Jason Anderson, and we're calling to order the special town council meeting of Tuesday, January 4th, 2022. It is currently 7:02 p.m. For roll call purposes, all council members are in attendance. Ms. Laro is remote, and I believe Ula Barclay is joining us
Late.
a little later. So at this time, I will entertain a motion to move item 6 we will call item 2B.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion has been made by Mr. Cotula, seconded by Mr. Grandelski. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. I will turn this over.
To the Killenly High School football team's one of their biggest fans? Yeah, okay.
Please do.
Proclamation honoring Killenly High School football Class M state champions for the second time in 4 years, mind you. Whereas Killenly High School is well known for its commitment to produce strong scholar athletes, and whereas the 2021 Killenly High School football team, through courage, determination, and sportsmanship, has led them to an undefeated regular season of 9-0 record and an undefeated postseason of 3-0 record. The team has worked through strong defensive opposition of plays and offensive play maneuvers to gain yards, in which their exceptional team chemistry has earned them the title as Connecticut Interscholastic Athletic Conference Class M state champions. And whereas head coach Chad Neal and the entire coaching staff, team parents, faculty, and student body at Killenly High School were essential in guiding the team to victory through their unwavering support. Whereas the following members of the 2021 Killenly High School football team that are very much deserving of recognition on their success. And then the proclamation goes on and lists all their names. Captains Jack Sharp, Ryan Miller, Nathan Keefe. And the team, I'm only going to do first names because there's like another 45 of them. Colin, Maddox, Ben, Jack, Trevin, Everton, Kenny, Noah, Chris, Ross, Tucker, Braden, Thomas, Owen, Isaiah, Alex, Jude, Colby, Brody, Dominic, Brady, Talon, Camden, Brandon, Ryan, Soren, Carter, Anthony, Keith, Jared, Seth, Zachary, Thomas, Shane, Darren, Jonah, Gabe, Thomas, Terrence, Ryan, Olivia, Justin, Renee, Devin, Giovanni, Caleb, Hunter, Martin, Noah. Head coach Chad Neal, assistant coaches Gary Brine, Matt Sumner, Trevor Laro, Chad Caffrey, Derek Orange, John Green, and Meade Bragdon. Now here it be it proclaimed by the town council of the town of Killenly, recognizes and heartily congratulates the Killenly High School and the 2021 Connecticut Interscholastic Athletic Conference Class M state champions on their outstanding accomplishments. Killenly Town Council, Jason Anderson, Chairman, dated at Killenly, Connecticut, this 4th day of January 2022.
Okay. I'm pretty loud anyway, but here's my coaching voice. First off, I would just like to thank all the town council members for this honor. A special thanks to Tammy Wakefield. And I know one thing we talk about is community with our football team. And that's very important to me. What you do to represent yourself, your school, your family, and your community means a lot to us. And that we take a great deal of pride in that from everything we do. And one of the things we talk about is remembering where you come from and always giving back. And the perfect example of that is Tammy, who 14 years has been baking for each member of our team and coaches for the past 14 years. Usually I get that text message, or even prior to really text message and emails, and that Friday morning, Coach, I'll be dropping by all the baked goods this morning for the team. And then after the game, the team, you know, it's kind of like when you feed an animal. They know when it's time to be fed. You shake the bag or whatever, and I think a lot of those wins are because of that. You know, they know they're not going to eat unless they get those wins. But I just want to point that out because it doesn't go unnoticed. It means a lot to these guys. It means a lot to our team, and that's what makes a program. What makes a true program and a community. I'm very fortunate at Killing High School to work for such a supportive administrative staff. My athletic director, Kevin Marcoux, provides us with everything we need to be successful. My assistant coaches, I couldn't ask for a better group of assistant coaches in the world. They work tirelessly, day and night, weekends, to get these young men and women better. Our parents are so supportive. We do a team dinner every Thursday night. They make the dinner, make the desserts. It's quite the feast, but quite the community, that family atmosphere. And a lot of those donations come from our local community, from local businesses. And it's just, again, when we win a state championship, we win a state championship. This community wins a state championship. Not Killingley High School, not the Killingley football team, not Chad Neal, but Killingley, Connecticut, and Northeast Connecticut, because we get a lot of kids from sending towns also. So it means a lot to us. And my players, many of them were unable to make it tonight because they're playing sports right now. Unfortunately, some are dealing with sickness, COVID, and quarantine, et cetera, et cetera. But when you get to coach a group like this, that's what makes it great. When you go to practice every day and you love doing what you do and you don't even look at the clock, and you see these kids come back, and they come back, and we saw, especially Thanksgiving this year, having that game back, how many players came back that played 10 years ago, 20 years ago. And it's just great to see how successful they are, and they always give back. It was great honor in the 1981 team. 40 years ago, they won a state championship. To have that team come back, again, it just shows the community and how important it is to our guys and our team. And I'm very appreciative. We are very appreciative of this honor to be recognized this evening. It was great winning a state championship in New Britain on December 11th, which was also 2017. We won on December 11th. Killingley has become well known in the state. Our football team is well known. I've been fortunate to coach in the Connecticut All-Star Games and also be a member of the Walter Camp football committee, which chooses the Walter Camp team for the state of Connecticut, which is the best players. And believe me, Killingley football and Killingley athletics and Killingley is known. We're no longer that quiet corner, that small team in the Northeast, east of the river. We've won 32 straight games at home. 32. We haven't lost since 2015 at home. This senior class has been to 2 state championships, won one, and lost in the semifinals as freshmen. I don't have their combined record, but I want to say it is like 33-4, if I'm not mistaken, in a state championship. I believe we've lost 2 conference games in their 4 years, And unfortunately, one was on the last play. Actually, both were on the last play. We got to figure out that last play. But, you know, it's just been special. It's been a special group. And going back to December 11th, we're going to have memories of that game. But some of our best memories were when we pulled up on Route 6 in Brooklyn and we saw the flashing lights and all the fire departments from East Killenly to Mortlake, Danielson, Killenly, from all out our region. And the Killenly Police Department and Troop D, and the amount of people on Main Street for this team as they were riding on the bus through is what they're going to remember. It was awesome. And then we got through the intersection right over here, and we're like, that was pretty good. And we got to the next section where Sunnyside and all that is, and there was more. And then we got further up where Busquets is now, and there was more. And then we got past Coles in there, and there was more. And then we got to the town garage, there was more people. It was just tremendous. And those are the memories that are going to last with us the rest of our lives, and these kids the rest of our lives because of this community and this town. And I know, for myself and my team, I just wanted to say thank you to all of you and to this community for making that special. Thank you.
Thank you. As chairman, I'd like to say thank you to all of you. I know, being a former student athlete, it takes a lot of dedication. It takes a lot of perseverance just to compete, and to compete at the level you do speaks an immense amount about your personality, who you are, and your character. And I just want to thank the coaches, thank the team. You've done a phenomenal job representing this town of ours. Thank you. At this time, we'll move on to item 3 on the agenda. We have a bunch of interviews for boards and commissions tonight. The first one up is 3A, Brian Card. Brian, if you could come up, please. Brian is seeking reappointment to the Planning and Zoning Commission as a regular member. The term would run from January 2022 through December 2024, a 3-year term. Mr. Card has been a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission as a regular member since 2008, and prior to that as an alternate member for 2 years. His attendance has been steady over the course of his appointment. The Planning and Zoning Commission is a commission with 5 regular members and 3 alternate members, including Mr. Card. All 5 regular member seats are filled. There are 3 alternate member vacancies available. I would like to start by saying the times I've watched or sat in on planning and zoning meetings, you are unbelievably thorough. You tend to pick up things that I know most people wouldn't pick up. It is definitely an asset having you on the Planning and Zoning Commission, and I'm glad to see you're seeking reappointment.
Oh, thank you. And then you woke up after watching the planning and zoning meeting, right? So, super exciting.
Just a little bit of why you want to seek reappointment, and anything you think the council could do to help support Planning and Zoning Commission.
Okay, and congratulations to Killingley High football team. So, just side note, I'm official, so I would have brought a flag if I knew they were coming here and thrown it on them, as I told the coach. But yeah, so as far as reappointment, yeah, I didn't realize it was 2008 or a 3-year term. I might have redecided something, but yeah, it's been a while. I do believe one of the valuable assets to planning and zoning, especially, and Berger can speak to this as well, is continuity. You know, the regulations are very tough to digest, and once you get them in your head and you start looking at from application to application and trying to be consistent across each one of those. So you can't do that in a couple of years. You can't do that in a 2-year appointment, a 4-year appointment. You need a bit, some longevity and continuity there to understand the regs and making sure that we're looking at every application consistently across the board. And when we continue to look at applications, you know, we want to make sure the town continues to develop systematically, you know, orderly, and that we're keeping constant with our vision, you know, that we have for the town. And one of the recommendations I would have for the town council specifically is there are a lot of boards and commissions, right? We all have our own agendas. We all have our own goals. We all have our own visions for the town. It would be nice to maybe understand exactly, you guys are leaders of the town. What is your vision for the town, right? What does the town council expect us to be? And maybe, not send out directives, but send something to all the commissions. Say, look, this is our vision. We all need to be working towards the same goal, whether it's the Conservation Commission, the Planning and Zoning Commission, Planning and Zoning Conservation. What was the other one I was thinking of? Wetlands Commission, Economic Development, right? We all need to understand what we all want to do and what this town needs to look like in the future. So,
Thank you. I completely agree with that one thing that I've discussed, and I'm really looking to move forward with, is starting a vision committee where we bring in people from the public. We try and get in members from planning and zoning, the town council, economic development, to figure out where we want to see. And I know we do have the POCD. But I think this would be a little bit different than the POCD because you bring in local business members as well. So I really feel the town needs a vision. I completely agree with what you said. For us to continue to move forward, we need to know where we're moving forward to.
Absolutely.
It's a lot easier to get to where you want to go if you know where you're going and know the steps you need to take to get there.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of things in front of us that we try to, not fortunately, try to be proactive at, but instead of reactive. But there are things coming up like, cannabis dispensaries, right? That's something that if we want it in the town, where do we want it? We put a moratorium on it to try to make sure it didn't happen, right? Because our rules are if it came in, we'd have to approve it. Solar developments, wind developments, things like that. Do we want to see those things in our town? I don't know. But it's nice to understand what other commissions want and what we expect to see, so.
All right. Do you have any questions for us?
I don't.
Questions, comments from council members? Mr. Grandelski.
Just want to thank you for the time you spent over the years. It's a big commitment, and I appreciate all you put into it.
No, thanks, sir.
To kind of go along with what you already said about the continuity, the P&Z, a lot of those members have been on for a considerable length of time.
Yes.
If I remember a few, I know I've sat in a few of them over the years, and it's a lot of times I'm seeing the same commission members. So
Yeah, I'm fairly youngin' compared to Verga and Keith, I believe, right? Yeah. So, and I've been 13 years. I'm still a youngin' after 13 years for a couple of us. But yes, there's at least 3 of us that have been there, and I think 10 plus years. So.
Any other comments? Ms. George, do you have?
Jason, it's Patty.
Okay, go
Hi.
ahead.
I just wanted to make a comment because I was the commission liaison. Hi, Brian.
Hi, Patty.
For planning and zoning,
Councilman
I think it's very important that every council member gets to be a liaison or an alternate on that board. And as you were talking about continuity, I learned so much about regulations, procedures, codes, just across the board where things need to be. The zoning is probably one of the most important aspects of how a town operates. And I learned so much serving as a liaison on that board, and it led me into looking into other things too, at a state level. So I think that board is fantastic. There's so much talent and knowledge on that board, and I would love to see Brian continue. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anything further? Like I said, I'm glad to see you're seeking reappointment. As it was stated, continuity on planning and zoning, it's critical. And the Planning and Zoning Commission is a critical piece of this town. And I definitely appreciate, as do the other council members, the amount of time you've dedicated to this town and served this community. We will be voting on your reappointment next Tuesday.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on, Ms. Colorio, which, I know F was canceled, the other one was D?
Correct. No, it was B. So,
B, okay.
yeah, David was unable to attend tonight, so you'll skip to C.
Okay, so we'll move on to 3C, Verge Lorenz. Verge, if you'll come forward. Virgil Lorenz is seeking reappointment to the Planning and Zoning Commission as a regular member. The term would run from January 2022 through December of 2024, a 3-year term. Ms. Lorenz has been a member of the Planning and Zoning Commission as a regular member since 2016. Her attendance has been steady over the course of her appointment. The Planning and Zoning Commission is a commission with 5 regular members and 3 alternate members, including Ms. Lorenz. All 5 regular members' seats are filled. There are 3 alternate member vacancies available.
Well, I have to make a correction.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I was first appointed to Planning and Zoning in something like 1978. And I resigned in about 1992 because I had a son at a late age. And I took the 2000s off. And then I came back, I think around, I probably have to take your word for when I finally got back.
I don't think that she went all the way back in all that time to see how far back. So I think she just went to the most recent
Yeah, yeah.
appointment
Yeah.
rather than all the way back.
Yeah.
I can.
I was almost afraid to admit how long I've been here.
We were going to
I
let you
can-
just take this 2016.
I can recall 2015 sitting in on a planning zoning meeting, and if my memory serves me correctly, you were there in 2015.
Oh, yeah.
I will say, sitting in on planning and zoning meetings, one of the things you always seem to touch on is dark sky. Coming from someone who has always had a fascination for astronomy and stargazing, and recently astrophotography, the fact that you always make sure that everyone's abiding by dark sky regulations, all the lighting regulations, is something that I really do appreciate.
I'm really glad that you picked up on that. So I can actually talk to to more of you here tonight. Briefly, I promise. My dad was a merchant marine officer, and back when he was getting trained, they actually navigated by constellations. And then they got equipment later on, but when he was a young man, stars were it. And when my parents came to this country in like 1950 from Estonia, and they needed a sauna. So we lived in New York City, and my father started driving around southern New England looking for a place where he could have a sauna. And he never found the sauna, but he found a barn on Peep Toad Road. And it went up for auction, and the last bid was $3,000, and he said, I'll pay $3,001. And I still live on that land. And he used to take me out. We would be here for Christmas break, and the sky would be really clear. And he would teach me the constellations. We'd stand in front of the building, and I still live on that land, and I still, as you noticed, love the sky. And so, there's so many things about dark skies, like birds I learned this week. Birds navigate by constellations. Wrap your brain around that. It's just amazing. Anyway, I'll stop on that.
So I'm glad to see you're seeking reappointment. Can you just give us a little bit of why you're seeking reappointment, things you like about serving on planning and zoning, and if you have any suggestions as far as how the council can help support P&Z?
I think you're doing a good job. I think that we have good people on the commission that are dedicated. I mean, sometimes you're confronted with really difficult issues, and you have to break somebody's heart practically at every meeting. This keeps me young. It keeps my brain moving. It keeps me in touch with the community. I mean, left to my own devices, I've been sitting in my house for 2 years. So it's wonderful to get out and do something useful for the community. So, I would like to continue doing that.
All right, thank you. I will open up to council members. Any questions, comments? Ms. George?
Hello. Hi, Virgo.
Hi there.
I just
Wherever
wanted
you
to
are.
say,
Okay.
Oh, I'm at home,
Okay.
under the weather.
Okay.
Just wanted to say it was a pleasure serving with you on the commission, and in the future, if I get to again, that would be great. I wanted to also compliment you on always having a conscious view of the environment when you're making decisions. You have taught me so much about just how we have to take into account the environment as well as, the well-being of, structures and where we're going to put buildings and stuff. I think all of the commissions work very well together in recognizing the pros and cons of each decision we make. So thank you for that.
Well, can I congratulate all of us for, as a town, I think we're doing a really good job of balancing development and conservation. I mean, if we just did conservation and all we were living in was houses with nothing else, then our property taxes would be crazy.
Agreed.
So that a long time ago, like in the mid-'70s, I think planning and zoning started in 1975, and the folks that established it understood that you need more revenue. And so you need industry, you need commerce. And so I think that one of the guiding principles is, how do we keep it in balance?
Yeah.
Because that's the only way that the taxes can really be generated in a way so that you can have a new school or, whatever's needed. So
I completely agree, and that's why I think the plan of conservation and development is a key piece for the town as well.
I appreciate you allowing me to just, get it all out.
Yeah, no problem at all. We appreciate the time you've served this community, and we will be voting next Tuesday on your reappointment.
Okay, thanks so much.
Thank you.
I want to see you dance to that.
We'll now move on in the agenda to item 3D, Byron Martin, seeking reappointment to the Agricultural Commission as a regular member. The term would run from November 2021 through October 2024, a 3-year term. Mr. Martin has been a member of the Agricultural Commission as a regular member since November 2012. His attendance has been steady over the course of his appointment. The Agriculture Commission is a commission with 5 regular members and 3 alternate members, including Mr. Martin. All 5 regular member seats are filled. There is 1 alternate member vacancy available. Mr. Martin?
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about you, your background, your time on the Ag Commission, and why you're seeking reappointment.
Well, I'm obviously a resident, and I'm also in agriculture here in town, and of course the town doesn't have a lot of that, so I'm one of the few. And I joined up when it first began, the commission. I think that part of the interest was to get the zoning laws adjusted so that we supported agriculture in the town. It's not that they were terrible, but the issue with zoning, of course, if it's not written, then it isn't. So we went through that process. And yet there isn't a lot of agriculture in town. So, the commission itself is not anchored in a lot of interactions with the town, mainly because of that. I mean, we all support agriculture because we all eat, but the development in this town of that particular industry is somewhat limited, and we all know that we were blessed with gravel and stones, and the land is poor for farming, and the foot farms we have had, which was poultry, was a big one back when I was a kid and long before that, and there were some dairy farms, but those things have all dissipated. There are some smaller farms in town, and young people coming along. We have one of our commission members is a goat farmer and very adept at it, and this young lady has become quite a master of the trade, and I'm glad to have her part of that. But I think that as far as the commission goes, we are lacking people that want to sit on it, and I do understand some of those issues that most of the commissions face, you know, people trying to get people to volunteer for that. And I certainly, being part of the beginning of it, and trying to move it forward or be part of it as it moves forward. But if there's anything that's happening today, it's just that we don't have members that are supporting it. We've had 2 that have left recently. You said there were 5 regular members. I think there's only 3 at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything you feel, other than trying to fill the vacancies, which is something as council members we always try and promote, is there anything you feel the council could do to help support the commission?
Well, you know, watching this whole process, you've got to have leadership, and it's not me, unfortunately, but you have to have leadership that would create something within that commission to expand it. Now, for instance, there's the Tomato Festival that Frank Anastasio, who's has just recently left the commission, but he started that, and it was his energy that pulled that forward. It's still going on and probably will, because town staff does such a great job at pulling all those things together. We've also done some outreach in terms of programs that we put on that are related to agriculture, and it's usually through the commission members. I do 2 bee talks a year, and our goat farmer there did 2 or 3 talks, and they've been well attended. We have somebody that does herbs and foraging and stuff like that that have given talks. Most of the members over the years, but they, you know, people spend some time doing this, and it's always an evening you have to go out, and it's another thing to do. And believe me, when springtime comes, we even talked about like canceling all the meetings, like in the summertime. You know, that's when it's a 16-hour day for us to just, you know, but, you know, we kept going. But, I mean, wintertime's the time to have meetings when you're a farmer, I guess. And, you know, the whole thing would be about bringing more interest into it. But the thing is, it's such a small piece of our town. It's just so small. And, you know, we've looked at the ag properties through the, you know, is it 440, trying to think of the number. There's a thing for 409s, right. So you have your forestry and you have your ag land. And we looked into that, trying to, you know, see what land there was that was actually agricultural available, or was there any interest in it? And it really didn't. I mean, it spent some time, the staff did, trying to figure this out, and it really didn't come to too much. I mean, we found one person that maybe perhaps would be interested. The other thing that happens is that young people, and there are a lot, I mean, farming as an industry in this country has consolidated into these very large aggregates, but there's also a tremendous amount of young people coming back in. And me being no longer young, but knowing what it's like at that point, I'm amazed, but I'm not, that these young people want to take that on. It's a very, very challenging life, and they're doing it. And there's some of them are doing quite well and are actually figured it out. But, you know, it's not only a matter of growing crops and stuff, it's also a business that has to be managed very tightly. And so there is some possibilities within the town for that. And, you know, there are people that are making a living on 5 acres and doing very intensive cropping of vegetables and such things as that, seasonal type stuff. And they're doing fairly well. I mean, it certainly isn't going to, you know, you're not going to get rich doing it, but they are making a living at it. And that was a possibility here, but the idea is trying to get the assets or the land of Killingly into the hands of the young farmers, maybe through a rent program or something like that. It didn't amount to too much, but we did make an effort towards that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Do you have any questions for council members?
No, I mean, you guys give us a budget every year, and you know, we don't, I don't know, we don't use it all, and I guess that goes into the open space land acquisition, which is a good thing that needs to be built up. I also sit on that commission also, so, you know, hey, thanks.
I will open up to council members.
So I know you're with Logis. I live across the street from you.
Yeah.
I so look forward to that summer solstice every.
I know. We may pull it off this year.
I'm
Depends. I mean,
hopefully, yeah, we'll figure a way to socially distance that. But I know that there's lots of, I know you guys, you talking about having winter months off. You really don't have the winter months off over
No,
there.
it's just beginning right now, yeah.
Yeah.
We're a specialty business, as you all know, and.
Your parking area is pretty full all the
Yeah,
time.
And we, our Christmas is just beginning, so, you know, it's good. Really, it's March, April, and May that most of our businesses or sales, yeah.
So, I don't normally go over there just because it's, you know,
Well,
it's pretty busy over there a lot
Well,
of
and
times.
it's good time to come though, particularly we're having the snowstorm coming, you know, and then you get up and you shovel the snow and then you walk into all this greenery with all the flowers and stuff. It's I don't have a bad time.
But I'm appreciative. I know my mom for many years worked for Racine Printing,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
remember her bringing home some of your
Catalogs, yeah.
some of your catalogs. So I know you definitely have an outreach, and it's got the Killingly name on it, and
Yeah.
and I appreciate everything that you and your family have done through the years. So.
Yeah.
Any more comments, questions? I'd like to say thank you for the time you've served, and thank you for seeking reappointment. We will
Yep.
be voting on your reappointment next Tuesday.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So now we'll move on to item 3E. Patrick Mclaughlin is seeking reappointment to the Water Pollution Control Authority as a regular member. The term would run from November 2021 through October 2024, a 3-year term. Mr. McLaughlin has been a member of the Water Pollution Control Authority as a regular member since January 2004. Mr. McLaughlin's attendance has been steady over the course of his appointment. The Water Pollution Control Authority is an authority with 5 regular members and 2 alternate members. Currently, there are 3 active regular members, including Mr. McLaughlin. 2 regular member and 2 alternate member seats are vacant. Thank you for seeking reappointment. We appreciate the time you've spent on the WPCA up to now. I know that you do have a few vacancies, and as council members, we will do what we can to try and promote filling those vacancies. I know at times it can be difficult having a quorum when you're short regular members and alternate members as well. So tell us a little bit about your background, your time on the WPCA, and why you're seeking reappointment.
Well, before I joined as a member, I was a staff to it from 97 to 2003. I was a town engineer here at that time. So I actually worked on the feasibility, the plans before the project that just got completed now. You know, it was just a concept. So I've got quite a great deal of familiarity with the plant there and with the town, and I think it's important everyone serves their community, and I just want to keep serving my community and put my knowledge to work down there. Currently, my full-time job, I'm the Director of Public Works for the City of Norwich. So, besides the sewer aspects, I'm pretty familiar with most other parts of construction and that kind of thing. So, I just want to put my talents to use here in my community.
I know we appreciate it. I will open up to council members. Mr. Grandelski.
Well, I appreciate the time you put in. It's been a long time. There's a lot of things going on. The project was a huge project, and it was something that we needed. And we're coming down to the final punch list items. But the flow is always there. It never stops. You know, so it's something we just can't shut it off at the end of the day. You know, so you have to be prepared for a lot of these circumstances that happen every now and then. You know, we sit at the meetings, and, well, this broke or that broke, and you know, you got to make a decision how to fix it. And at least with this upgrade now, that we're going to have a lot of things going on, that the plant is working more smoothly without as many problems. But again, it takes a lot of time, a lot of effort to keep things going, and I appreciate how you put it.
Thank you.
Thank you. So is there anything you feel the town council can do to support the WPCA, short of trying to fill these vacancies as quickly as possible?
Well, that's the big thing, really. I mean, otherwise, we've always had a good relationship with the town council. I don't think, when we put a proposed budget together, I can't recall a time when there was any, controversy or, problems with the council had with it, and it's always been approved, so I thank you for that, and, just want to keep, invite, we've got a new liaison now, so Ed's been down there for quite a while, or down there. Lately, we've been meeting up here, but, welcome her and invite any other council members maybe to, I think, Jason, you've been to a couple meetings over the years, and just pop into a meeting and just, see what's going on. I mean, take a tour of the plant at some point, too. And now it's really it's really in much better shape now than it was, a few years ago. Yeah, now we're down to just the 3 members, but that's the big thing, just trying to get some more members. Sadly, with Mr. Sinkmar's passing, we're down to 3, so we need all 3 members just to have a quorum, so. Not sure how to solve that problem, but could use help on that.
All right, we'll do what we can to try and recruit people to fill those vacancies.
All right, thank
And
you.
we will be voting next Tuesday on your reappointment, and thank you for your time served.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. And we are skipping over 3F. Roxanne is not here this evening, and we'll be moving on to 3G. Thomas Weaver is seeking reappointment to the Permanent Building Commission as a regular member. The term would run from December 15th, 2021 through December 16th, 2025, a 4-year term. Mr. Weaver has been a member of the Permanent Building Commission since 1995. His attendance has been steady over the course of his 26 years on the commission. The Permanent Building Commission is a commission with 5 regular members and 2 alternate members. Currently, there are 5 active regular members, including Mr. Weaver, and 2 alternate member seat vacancies. Thank you for coming forward. Thank you for your time that you've served this community. And just give us a little bit of background about you, your time on Permanent Building Commission, and why you're seeking reappointment.
First of all, I'd just like to say it's been a labor of love. Get a little hairy at sometimes, but we've had our good times, and things always seem to work out. Before I forget, one thing, I'd like to highly recommend Adam Reynolds. He's be coming up behind us as an alternate member. I've known him most of his life, and I give him a good thumbs up. I was an electrical contractor for 42 years. I've been in the electrical trade for 50. And I was the first chairman when we first started the Permanent Building Commission. I had to give that up because of the business after the first year, but I still stayed on. The camaraderie is great. We've got a good bunch of people. We've always had a good bunch of people, which made my job easier, which made me happy. I don't know what else to say.
Okay. Comments?
Just quick comments. I've been the liaison to the Permanent Building Committee for the last 4 years there, so to work with the whole crew that's on that committee is it's enjoyable. It's pleasant. A lot of work gets done. There's a lot of responsibility on there, and you're currently chairman, obviously, and you've been chairman now for how long?
Long time.
It's been a while, right?
Yeah.
So-
I gave it up for about 10 years when I was the first one, like I said.
Right.
And then I gave it up for about 10 years, but I still stayed on the board, and then I got
Came
thrown
back.
back in the
You didn't duck
thick of
fast
things.
enough.
So you and all the other members are valuable assets on that committee there, with the projects that are coming up forward to us now also. There's a lot coming up.
It makes everything easy when you have so many knowledgeable people in the construction trade.
that's why they started the Permanent Building Commission, because people were appointed that didn't have any construction background, and things started backfiring, and we're still paying for some of it.
Ms. Wakefield?
Now, like P and Z, a lot of the Permanent Building Commission members, those guys have all been on there for a while, haven't they?
Yeah. Yep.
They're kind of like you.
Yep.
Just-
Most of them, right now, have been at least 10 years, if not more.
Well, that's, I think like P and Z, the permanent, it takes a while sometimes to get a job through, so it's good to have consistency. And thank you for all your service, not only on this commission, but I know you were involved with the fire departments, and you were our Girl Scout father that went on all those camp trips
Oh, yeah. Yep.
with all those girls. Thank you for everything that you've done for the town of Killingley.
I'd also like to say thank you again for your service, and it is a valuable asset to this town to have members like yourself on that commission who have the experience, especially, as Kevin had mentioned, with these two big projects we have with the KMS project and with the community center project coming up right behind it. And we thank you for your time served. Anyone else have any more comments? Mr. Grandelski?
Yeah, again, I'd like to thank you for your time. I mean, you've got a long history. A lot of people wouldn't last that long, so there's perseverance to keep it going, and, we have some good results. So I appreciate everything, all your efforts. I think you're well worth it. We're well served.
Thank you.
We'll be voting on your reappointment next Tuesday.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on in the agenda. Next up is 3H, Vance Carter, who is seeking appointment to the Board of Rec as a regular member. There are currently 2 regular member vacancies with a term of 2 years, in which both terms run from January 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2023. Mr. Carter, if you can just give us a little bit of your background and why you're seeking to serve on the Board of Rec.
Sure. I've lived in this town most of my life. I was educated first at St. James, and I went on to Killingley High School. And I eventually went to Thames Valley. I got a 2-year degree in chemical engineering. Then after that, I went to pharmacy school at UConn. I've been a pharmacist in town for the last 20 years. And I've been involved in recreation my whole life. I've been a recreational runner for the last 40 years. And I'd like to give back to my town. I love my town. And now I'm retiring next month. I have a little bit of time in my hands. The pharmacy schedule isn't always conducive to make meetings, so I never really seeked any office before this, any part of a commission before this. But I'm looking forward to giving back to my town that gave so much to me over the years, and my children. And like I said, I just like to give back. I like to learn. I'm not going to go in there knowing a lot, but I like to, interact with my fellow members. And I think the Parks and Recreation Commission, what I can see from an outsider as a resident of the town, has done a great job throughout arts and crafts, and including, very young children to the elderly. And there's always something in this town being offered by the Parks and Rec Commission to this town. So I like to be part of that. That's about it.
Hi, my name's Tammy.
Yes.
So, I'm the council. I've been on Recreation Commission for many years, on and off. I think, what you bring to the table, you might not, I know you put down on your application, I don't understand all the workings of the commission, but really what you've been doing your entire life is kind of what that commission does. You put down that you've coached and you
Yes.
talked about recreational. being a recreational runner, and that, a lot, what they do with the commission is very active. It's probably one of the more active commissions. A lot of times, commission members are asked to help out with the different activities in town.
Sure.
So if you like, being part of what goes on in Killingly, I think this would be a great commission. I think you touched on the biggest thing that I find that I really enjoy in the commission is the fact that it spans from birth
It does, yeah.
to silver sneakers, and everything in between, and into every activity level. So whether you can handle playing pickleball, or if you like, doing one-on-one basketball, I mean, it's everything in between, or if you just want to sit and listen to a concert. So, if that's, I think you, from looking at your application and from what you've already shared, I think, this would be a great commission for you. I think you'll find it very satisfying.
We'll find out if I'm appointed. But I look forward to the challenge and interacting with the recreation department. I think we have a terrific recreation
It's a great
director.
staff over there. They work
Yeah.
really, really well together.
I think so.
And I agree with Ms. Wakefield, looking at what you had on your application as far as the coaching and your time as a runner. Coaching in itself is giving of yourself to help others and support others, and this is almost a continuation of that, where actually you'll be giving to your community as well by serving. So I'm glad to see you coming forward, looking to serve. If no other council members have any questions, comments? Mr. Grandells.
Let's see you coming forward. We've talked about it.
Yes, we have. We have.
So now's the time, and I'm glad
Yep.
you did.
Yep, thank you.
And you have anything else for us?
No, I don't.
All right, we will be voting on your appointment on next Tuesday.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Moving on in the agenda, we will now move to item 3I. Kevin Mahan, or Mahan, I apologize if I mispronounced that. You are interested in being appointed as a regular member of the Board of Rec. As I read earlier, there are currently 2 regular member vacancies, each with a term of 2 years that run from January 1st, 2022 through December 31st of 2023. Just give us a little bit of your background and why you're looking to serve on the Board of Rec.
Okay, lifelong resident of Danielson, did sports in high school, myself. Still currently participate in sports. I do triathlons. Next week I'll be racing down Georgia, Jekyll Island for the half marathon. So I'm still participating, in sports. Worked with Camp Quinnebog when they used to do their cycling classic. Helped them for 15 years, put that on. Member of the Danielson Fire Department for about 20 years. Just kind of stepped back from the active service a couple of years back, so now just kind of dabbling, down there. So have more time. I'll be retiring at the end of this month, like 33 years of state service. So have a bit more time to, pick up another role and do something different for it. I enjoy planning and organizing things, for it. For the other events that I've done, the biggest one I did was last year. I don't know if you may or may not have heard about it. It was up in Webster. It was the Rev 3 New England Triathlon. And part of it went through Thompson, but it was based out of Webster because it used to be the women's triathlon like about 10, 15 years ago. So my wife and I were at a race, and I said something to her. I go, why can't we do something like this where we can sleep in our own bed, instead of traveling, halfway across the eastern seaboard and everything. So I came home and I put this whole proposal together, and I told them the history of it and everything. The company I sent it to, Rev 3, is based out of Virginia. So I just took as much information as I could and put it all together. Didn't hear anything for like about 6 months. My wife goes, who wants to hear from you? They can go anywhere in the country and everything. About 3 weeks later, they get an email and say, hey, we just looked at your proposal. Can you answer these questions and send us some pictures? So I did. So the owner of the company came up, took them all around and everything. And he goes, yeah, I think we can make this work. So by putting all that together, because he was in Virginia, and this is pre-COVID, so he couldn't make like all the town meetings and the police departments and everything. So he'd call and say, I'm going to send like a representative for me when he walks in, because he's not from Massachusetts. That's why he's from Connecticut, and everything. And so I attended those meetings and pulled it all together, and then COVID hit, and that kind of fell apart. So this past year, we were able to actually get the race off, and now we're in the process of getting it going again for this coming June for it. So like this week, I'll start going out and just checking the roads and just seeing what they need and to try to improve on it, and do like my research, send it off to them and see what they want, back and forth. And everything's all scheduled, so just give it a go for that. So I could take that experience, and if there's something in town, try to cross-reference it, over, to try to help out a little bit. And also show like the younger people, like the football team, that just because you're out of high school, you can still race in like 40 years down the road.
I will say it's great to hear the experience and the knowledge that you have as far as organizing something like that. I feel that would definitely be a valuable asset to the Board of Rec. And like the other council members, we always appreciate when people come forward to serve their community. I will open up to other council members if you have any questions, comments.
Well, let me tell you, if you get sat on this commission, I can already tell you, Anthony Isley is gonna love you. Because he's into biking and that kind of stuff, so
yep.
Yeah. You might be moving from Webster down. You might be bringing it back into town. If he has anything to say about that.
Yeah, because I've been a cyclist for over 40 years, and then just started doing running. Basically, I don't like running.
Nobody likes to.
No, I just started running because our daughter lives further away, so it was a way to kind of connect with her when she came home, and then we do like races together. So it then got into triathlon and everything, and just kept it going that way there. But done a lot of bike races, Mount Washington 14 times up the mountain for it and everything, and so.
But yeah, Anthony will love you. Even if there was no room for you on this commission, Anthony needs to talk to you.
Any other questions, comments from council? Do you have any more questions for us?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. All right. We will be voting on your appointment next Tuesday, and we will notify you of our decision afterwards.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up on the agenda is item 3K, Adam Reynolds. Mr. Reynolds is interested in being appointed as an alternate member of the Permanent Building Commission. There are currently 2 alternate member vacancies with a term of 4 years that would run December 16th, 2020 through December 16th, 2024. Mr. Reynolds, if you could just give us a little bit of your background and why you were seeking to serve on this commission.
Okay, it all started basically back, I want to say in August, when the building commission was here. They were doing a little bit on the study for the old high school, and they had voiced their opinion that we're looking for new tradesmen to replace some of us older gentlemen that want to get out. And actually, I spoke to you in the parking lot about it after. I says, you know what, this sounds like something I could really get my hands into. I've been in the construction trade for industrial for 22 years. One of the jobs I did was the Basketball Hall of Fame in Springfield. I worked on that for 2 years. I've worked on 7 different schools. I've had a lot of experience in an industrial background. I have my own business in doing industrial type application for electrical. But when I saw that was something that I could do, even you had mentioned at the time I couldn't go and apply for that commission because you can't run for town council and be in that at the same time. So if this is a different way I can be involved to help out the town, to use my skills to better anything in the town, or even, apply myself to the town, that's what I want to do.
I will open up to anyone that has questions, comments. Mr. Grandelski?
I appreciate you coming forward, it was good. The ran for town council, that didn't work out, so you're staying in there. You didn't give up.
No, I'm not giving up. I'm here to do what I can.
You know, the continuity is there, you got a little interest in that regard, and then now you're looking at something so be more permanent. And, we need experienced people, as Tom said, it's nice to have experienced people on the Permanent Building Commission, so you have a lot of that. This is interesting.
Yes.
I do have one thing that maybe you can give me a little bit of information on and explain. Back in September 14th at the regular town council meeting that was held at the Killenly High School, you spoke out against PLAs. You stated that they cut the knees out of many who could bid in on the project. Because PLAs would be under the purview of the Permanent Building Commission, can you just explain that position and why you feel that way, and if you feel that you could serve on a Permanent Building Commission and be unbiased looking at the possibility of doing a PLA?
See, I've seen how PLA's been written. If they're written correctly, I can wrap my head around it. But usually when a PLA is written, it's written on the fact that the people that are working there is only 10%. 10% of the workers in the area are gonna be local workers to this job. 10% realistically on like a whole school, there's maybe 10 to 12 electricians nowadays. They do prefab systems where they build a lot of the mechanics of it outside, bring it in. So if they got 10 electricians, that means 1. I'm all for a PLA. Bring it to 50%. Let's, if that's where things gotta go, I'm not against PLAs, but I want them to have a realistic number. For them to push that there's a percentage of 10%, you know, people think, oh, there's 200 people in this job, but each trade breaks down. You got a sprinkler fitter, you got a plumbing fitter, you got a HVAC guy. Once you break down all those different applications that are in those jobs, different trades in that job, there's really not a lot per group. So I just want to make sure that if we're doing this, and I'm all for if we can get, if the PLA is presented the right way, I'm all for it. But like I said, in my experience, it hasn't been.
All right, I just wanted to ask that because the way you would come across at that meeting, and I actually went back last night just to review it to make sure I wasn't misspeaking or misrepresenting the way you came across. I would just have a concern of if you could remain unbiased after making a statement like that. I thank you for your explanation now.
Yeah, at the time, there was a lot to go through outside of what we were working on. We were talking about just that project alone. But yeah, I can understand where you'd think that I'm just completely against it. I just want to make sure that it's written or it makes sense, because bringing one person in and using that as their speech to, oh, you need to hire our group because a lot of the money's going back to the town. Well, a lot of the money of one doesn't break down to a big percentage.
I had spoken with Ms. Colorio earlier in regards to the PLA that the Permanent Building Commission had worked out through Downs Construction. It was part of the RFP. I felt that the project labor agreement on that and working it into the RFP is a really good way, if we're going to go with a PLA, is a really good way to present that.
So what's your opinion on PLA then?
On a bigger project like this, I can see that there is value to it, especially if you consider the scope of a project like this. When you start bringing in smaller independent contractors that aren't part of the union, you may run into an issue of not being able to find enough staffing. You could have issues where it could delay the project. And on a project of this size, you start delaying the project and you could be talking quite a bit of additional money cost because of a delay in a project.
Well, contracts aren't written that way. So if a delay of project comes in, it falls on the contractor, not us. So it actually doesn't come out of our pocket. So if a delay of projects because they don't have the manpower, that's on the contractor because the contractor has to adhere to a schedule. So that, I don't understand how that's working out in your cost-wise, but going forward, I've worked for 4 different major contractors in the state of Connecticut. One of them, a company called ECI out of Hartford. They had 200 employees in the field. We've done jobs at UConn where, like you said, they didn't have enough staff, but did they hesitate to make sure they meet that deadline? Not at all. They went in and they've hired 5 contractors to sub underneath them to complete it. Cabela's, another thing. We had 63 electricians on the job. 4 of them were other subcontractors to add into it. So have I ever seen an independent contractor fall behind? Yes. I've also been an independent contractor working for ECI and get pulled in because the union didn't pull in their weight and replace them. We've actually flushed the union right out of jobs. So to say that this is going to save money, I can't agree with that.
I don't work in a construction field. I have spoken with a few people that do, and I have heard pros and cons to both. And the majority of what I heard was, depending on the scope of the project, as a project gets bigger, a lot of times you're better off going with a PLA.
For what?
Part of what I was told was continuity of the project to make sure that there aren't delays. And if there are issues and you're dealing with bigger companies, you have an easier chance to absorb if additional employees are needed. And if you're drawn from the union hall can usually supply employees a lot quicker than having to go out and find independent contractors. The other thing that was brought up to me was also the possibility of independents lowballing a bid just to try and get the job, and then they get in there and they're struggling to do the job for what they bid in at.
Okay. I guess
And like I said, I am not a contractor by any means. That's not my trade. I just am going off of what I was told by people in the field.
Okay. I've worked at many jobs that were at UConn where, being a state, they have to take the lowest bid. Like you said, you're worried about the lowest bid. And the projects always have, as long as they've been hiring local, let's reframe that a little bit, because I've seen UConn, back when we had different administration, the state level, hire outside contractors from like Texas, where people were showing up in the back of vans. But as far as independent contractors, I don't know, I've worked for them my whole life. I've never seen one in 22 years fall on its face because they didn't have enough manpower. They didn't budget the job correctly, walked off of it, ran out of money. In 22 years, 7 different schools, Basketball Hall of Fame, cogen power plants, never seen it happen. So I guess everybody has, an opinion on it, but that's the reason you have a balanced system, is you have multiple opinions.
Any other comments, questions from?
A balanced system with a PLA, it's kind of one or the other, right? Because if you can't, you'd like to say that you can have unity on a job site, but that never happens when you either have union or non-union.
Oh, I agree with that.
You know what I mean?
I don't disagree with that. What I was trying to say to Jason is that our opinions can differ, and that's what makes a balanced system. That's what I was referring to.
But I would like to, just on a side note, probably can't do it right now, but anyway, doesn't matter. I would like to see that we have town participation, that there's a percentage of actual residents.
That is something that Ms. Calorio and I had discussed earlier regarding the KMS project, and that was worked into the PLA.
I mean, like I said, if it's worded right and we're getting, what they say we're getting, I'm all for it. I'm not against you. I've worked with unions before, but to say that it can only be union and basically you're saying in a nutshell, independent are subpar contractors, now you're kind of playing with that edge of the fence.
I did not say
You
that.
just spelled it out.
I did not say subpar contractors. All I mentioned was lowballing a bid, which means you're coming in at a cost lower than what you really think it's going to be, cutting into your profit margin in order just to get the job. which does that speak to the quality of the employees? Absolutely not.
Okay.
I worked Iron Workers Local 7 for 10 years.
Okay.
I think the important thing is whether he would be all right with the PLA or not, and that's something.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree with the PLA. With if we're like I said, it's perfect
Let me
example.
just finish, and then you can
All right.
and then I'll be quiet. So I do think there is something to be said for if it's a large job and you get tons and tons of people in, you get guys that are working together. I mean, maybe they're out of the hall, but you could have 50, 60 guys, and they're just, this is my partner for 2-3 years or whatever. And if you got to gather them from all different independent contractors, maybe it'll work really smoothly, depending on the contractors. Maybe it won't, because guys are working together for years and years and years. You know what I mean? So I think there's something to be said for that. But ultimately, it's whether you're comfortable or not. You look at a big job and say, yeah, you're getting advice that the PLA is going to be good. You hire all the community. You're going to be all right with it. And you seem to say if it was certain numbers, you might be. Anyways, that's my comment. I think there is something to be said for continuity of your long-term coworkers on a large scale in a union.
Thank you.
Okay. I can wrap my head around that. I worked for years, probably 4 years alone, just at UConn, where for the most part, all the sprinkler fitters there are union. And I was never a union contractor. And we got to know each other. It's like, okay, it's time to have a beer after work. We never had any friction whatsoever. They did their job, I did my job, everybody got along. So I'm just saying they can work together. And we did for 20 years.
Thank you. Any further comments? You have any further questions for the council?
I'm good, thanks.
Okay. We will be voting on your appointment next Tuesday. Thank you. We'll now move on the agenda. Next item up is citizen statements and petitions. Pursuant to Town Council Rules of Procedure, Article 4, Section 2, all presentations by citizens shall be limited to an aggregate of 45 minutes, and each citizen's presentation shall not exceed 5 minutes unless otherwise indicated by a majority vote of the council. Public comment can be emailed to publiccomment@killinglyct.gov or mailed to the Town of Killingley, 172 Main Street, Killingley, Connecticut, 06239, on or before the meeting. All public comment must be received prior to 2 p.m. the day of the meeting. Public comment will be posted on the town's website, www.killinglyct.gov. I will say, being a special town council meeting, any public comment has to be pertinent to the items that were on the agenda. Those items on tonight's agenda were the proclamation for the football team, and also each of these individuals' interviews for appointments and reappointments. So please keep any comments related to these items.
If I may, Mary Clorio, Town Manager, there were no written comments received via email or through the mail for this meeting.
Thank you. If anyone would like to come and speak, you can come up to the podium. Just state your name and address. Right up here.
How you doing? My name is Chris Malarkey. I live at 61 Kenneth Drive, Dayville. Resident my whole life. Went to Killing High School. Glad to sit in on this meeting. I was here. My biggest concern was with looking for the new board members for the building committee, and I'm glad you touched on the on the bias of the what was on the PLA, and I'm just here to make sure. Thank you, Mr. Reynolds, for clarifying your opinion on it, because that was a concern of mine, and that's why I'm here. I am a member of Local 336 Carpenters, and that doesn't mean that I feel I should sit on the board as well, because I have a bias. I do. I think everybody PLA, the union itself has helped my family tremendously, so I have a lot of passion for that. So I'm on the other side of the spectrum, of the group. I have, so I would like to see the board stay unbiased and everybody think the whole project's through. I like what you said with the large projects. You know, I choose to travel to Boston. That's where I have done most of my career as a carpenter, particularly in millwork. And the projects are giant. And, you know, and I know I'm a foreman, I run work. When I need to call somebody, I call the hall. I get, you know, I'm a specialist. I do millwork. This is what I do, this trim work, you know. I can't just have a carpenter come out. I need to have a specialist. And that's what I get, you know, through the union. So the PLA leans towards that. And again, when you need a particular, you know, fine craftsman at any part of the building trades, you know, you get that training by going with a union, and PLAs lean towards that. So I'm not after anybody in particular. I just, you know, like I said, my bias is I am union. So I would like to see the board just stay neutral and think through, you know, the process. Again, larger projects I think lean better towards, you know, hiring union, being able. You mentioned Miss Murphy. You know, you mentioned how you've been a part of the building trades, and it's just one call away of getting the next group of people there. The jobs get done. They get done. You know, again, I know in my part of the trade, I might need 5 guys. I don't know them. I see what they bring for a tool bag. You're a finished guy, you're a finished guy, you're a finished guy. They sent me the right guys to get my job done, you know, and that's how it works for me. And like I said, so that's why I agree with it. And thank you very much for your time. And that's enough for me. Thank you.
Thank you. State your name and address, and as I said earlier, just keep your comments pertinent to the football team recognition or the interviews of the candidates.
Yes, sir. My name is Ty Trotter. I live at 6 Schoonman Avenue here in town. I'm a local resident, and I came tonight to talk about my support for getting the projects about KMS and the community center to go forward. And as a union carpenter here in Connecticut, the union has presented me with opportunities that I couldn't imagine, and opportunities for life after my career. I also have 4 children. I have 2 daughters. My youngest goes to KMS right now, and I have 2 sons that in the years to come will also go to KMS. So yeah, I just wanted to come and show support for that getting done. And being a union carpenter, the craftsmanship is unmatched. You know, the pride in your work is unmatched. And being a local resident, I just wanted to come and show my support for these projects moving forward and moving forward as union jobs. So, you know, local work for local people. And, you know, for obvious reasons, me being a member of the community, my family being a member of the community, I just wanted to come and show my support for that. That was all I had to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Andre Miller. I live at 92 Lee Ave. I live in Griswold now. I grew up in Plainfield. I lived around here all my life. And I'd just like to say that this is the best board meeting I've ever been in my life. I mean, seriously, you know, I've been to the board meetings in Plainfield, and I've been to board meetings in Griswold, and you guys are all right, man. But I'm here because I believe he is biased, but I think it's more of uneducated. You know what I mean? I don't think he means to be biased. I just think that he just needs to be more educated in the PLAs and understand what they mean and what they are. Not saying anything bad about your brother, you know what I mean? But because everybody's got to work, and believe me, I'm not biased. You know what I mean? I'm union, but you know, everybody's got to work. I think his misrepresentation of what the PLA means is where he's getting the delusion. That's all. And I feel you guys will make the right decision. You're very educated people. And that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ryan Opert. I'm 54 Riley Chase Road in East Killingly. I am a union member. I've been one for 24 years. I was part of Bricklayers Local 1 Connecticut. I have since moved on to Local 3 Mass. I've known we've known each other for at least 20 plus years. Adam's a good kid, he is, and he's no fool. I do disagree with him a bit as far as PLAs go. I think the PLA gives you a bit more assurance as to who you are getting to do the jobs. I do agree that it would be fantastic if they are written for higher percentages of residents to participate, but I won't. It's still important to have the unions backing the people that you are hiring to do your jobs. I've participated in several projects here at Killingly High, Ellis Tech. There's those three, Duncan, Shell Station, and Walgreens. I participated in all of those. Your opinions of them can be whatever they are. But I was proud to be at least part of them. I know they are not, they're not the Taj Mahal by any means, but I was proud to be part of that. I would stand by my work on all of them. And as a union member, I would stand by the work of anyone in the union as far as someone who knows what they're doing and the union backing them, saying they know what they're doing. I'm sure there are a lot of non-union construction people out there who are fantastic at their jobs, but I do not have the union or anyone else other than their boss telling me that they know what they're doing. Luckily, electricians have to be licensed. There are plenty of craftsmen out there who do not need a license, and all you have is their word of mouth. At least the unions give you that assurance that they know what they're doing and doing it well. I also believe that collective bargaining agreements and such with employers is a huge, huge thing that needs to be supported. Because you will have people out there desperate for work and get undercut. I've heard plenty of rumors of non-union companies asking for money back from their people on reported salaries and such. Sorry, I'm horrible at public speaking. Anyway,
Well said. Well said. No, give you
thanks,
so much
Adam.
credit. Great
No,
job.
Adam, he's a smart kid, and as long as it's not going to be some sort of union suck, and I'm not going to.
That's not it at all.
He knows what he's doing, truly. But obviously, as a union member, I need to be adamant about the assurance of union quality work. That unfortunately, Open Shop does not provide me with that sort of security.
No, I get that. I totally understand.
But if you want to hire him, he's pretty good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tyler Panolikas. I grew up in this town. I went to KCS, KIS, and then I was a graduate of Ellis Tech. And listening to Mr. Reynolds, I'm not necessarily positive from hearing his rhetoric back and forth with you all that he may be able to stay unbiased. I did listen as he says he would hope instead of 10%, 50% as that number. And as a Killingly resident, I would too. I would love to see more people in the town of Killingly be a part of those projects because I know it's something we're proud of. We're proud to say, I built that. I was part of that. That is something that is important. knowing though that potentially going in a non-PLA, whether union gets on that job or not as a non-PLA, you don't have any reassurance that if that contractor does decide, as he had mentioned, to subcontract, you can't guarantee that that subcontractor is going to bring in Killingly workers. So that's something that just listening to him brings a concern to myself, that if there is an opportunity that a PLA isn't brought together and there is a contractor who has the opportunity with not able to man the job and to go with a subcontractor, who guarantees that subcontractor is going to even be from Connecticut? So that's basically just something that I've been thinking about, and I just hope that you guys will consider that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Should I just stand up and sit back there? Because they're all for me anyways.
Hi, my name is Angelique Roberts. I live at 139 Maple Street in Danielson. I'm not a union member. However, I am a town resident, and I've worked in construction a lot of my life. I feel that a PLA would be great for us. There is nothing really in this town for a lot of work. And like some of the carpenters that do work, or I should say live in our town, work outside of our town, the Northeast is crippled, unfortunately. And a lot of people, like myself, I don't work in town, I work out of town. It would be great if we could have a PLA, because then even if it is 10%, we would have resident participation. We would be able to get that good wage that we don't normally have up here, so that people could make a living wage and survive and be able to stay in this Northeast.
Thank you.
I'm Josh Bazinet, 41 Fallbrook Road, Danielson, Connecticut, lifelong resident. And I'd just like to, I've worked both union and non-union, and what you're saying is correct. I could speak for iron workers. For multiple companies, the jobs are just undermanned, and then guys don't show up, this and that. And then when I joined the union, it's like you got 100 guys, they're there, you know what I mean? Knowing what they're doing, getting stuff done. So I don't know if he's biased or not. I don't believe he's biased. I just think he knows his specific craft and what, about being an electrician, you don't know, like iron workers, carpenters, everyone else is all different. So I can tell from my experience is, different from yours, that I think a PLA would be the only way, because my nieces and nephews will be going to these schools. I'd like them to be safe, and that's one thing, you don't want nothing happening in the future. So, and thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening again, everyone. Dave Jarvis, business representative, Local 326. I live at 95 Bunny Lane. Proud community member here in Killingly. Grew up here, graduate of Ellis Tech. Grew up breaking my teeth in the trade. First job out of trade school was a union job, apprenticeship, moved all the way up. So I'm standing to kind of speak and clarify a few things that we heard, and also voice my concern with the amount of bias that was presented, or the uneducated bias that may be more accurate description. There has not, to the best of my knowledge, in over 20 years, been a PLA written with a 10% community participation. The current ones that are in existence today, that are currently going on in Windham, which is in Windham County. Windham High School is 20% Wisdom residents, 30% Windham County residents, 5% minority, 5% female, and 5% veteran. Guaranteed. It's a goal. It's something that you strive for, and without it, your guarantees are non-existent. And so it's very concerning to me to hear the amount of uneducated bias. and to come out so strong that saying you're cutting out the knees from everyone else and then kind of walk it back, well, if the numbers were better, then it would be okay. I'm not so sure that those two thoughts go together, unfortunately. I'll work with anybody that makes it to the committee level, but I would be very concerned in appointing someone to a committee that is quick to speak without the correct information, because it is permanent record, and I have to control my thoughts and things when I speak for that very same reason. And to speak of some of the experience here in Killingly, when we were originally proposing the PLA for the original Killingly High School, that was about the time that I was really coming into the trade out of high school, and so we spoke in favor as a tech school grad for that project. And as time progressed a little bit, I took the same interest that Mr. Reynolds is in the building committee as a union carpenter that wanted to use the knowledge that I was being taught to be on the permanent building committee at that time. And I was interviewed by a different council than is here today. And the reason that was given why I was not appointed to the building committee was I was biased because I was a union member and I was on the record of speaking pro PLA. So I think if the bias exists for one side, if it's unacceptable for a union member who speaks positively of a PLA to be on a permanent building commission, then it also should apply to a non-union member that speaks against the PLA. If the bias is there, then the bias is there. So that would be my recommendation. And I do believe that the PLA is the path forward, but to throw somebody in now where the discussion already exists to be negotiating for a PLA, if you knowingly add something that's against it, it just complicates the process for everybody going forward. So that would be my recommendation. I'm open to questions talking about it in any other meeting. When the building committee is sitting and talking about it, look forward to that discussion. But I do believe that there is a bias that exists and it has been illustrated here tonight. So I would recommend not moving that nomination forward. That's just my opinion. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
My name's Jim Denning. I'm the business manager, financial secretary, treasurer of the Ironworkers, Local 15, Hartford, Connecticut. I graduated from Ellis Tech.
Can you state your address, please?
Oh, it's 11 Old Mill Road in Quaker Hill. I'm for PLAs. I've been a union ironworker for 43 years. I know what PLAs do for the community. Like we have career fairs and stuff like that for all the young kids, all these football players that were here tonight. They have a chance of getting into a union. It doesn't matter if it's the ironworkers or other trades. There could be women involved, so we have opportunities for any young person wanting to get into a trade and have a career. Pensions, health and welfare funds, and an opportunity to have the American dream. You know, we have all our apprentices are certified welders by the time they get done with their 4-year apprenticeship, and they go out and they work in their communities or around the state, and they make good money, and they raise their families, they buy houses, they become productive citizens of the state. So when you're thinking about whether you want to do PLAs in your town, just think of all the young people that can benefit and all the people in the whole community that benefit when all these tax dollars and everything come in that they can generate. And it would be detrimental to a board to have people on it that don't really see eye to eye about what the PLAs really do for the communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further public comment? Is there any further public comment? Last call for public comment. Seeing none, we'll move on in the agenda. Next item up is old business, and we have none. Item 6 was moved earlier, so we have already done item 6. And next item up is 7, executive session. We have none. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Motion was made by Mr. Kurtula, seconded by, was it Mr. Grandelski? Okay. Seconded by Mr. Grandelski. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? This meeting is adjourned.